Sheila here with Sirius Talis Moon. This is Mars, our lunar night, and I want to talk about the Jupiter opposition Pluto because I mentioned the fact that Jupiter is going to touch on Procyon, basically is turning retrograde on Procyon, which marks an entire year of Jupiter going back and forth. And this is probably why you hear a lot about JFK, because it's world peace time, and this is one thing that's in the background. And then afterwards, we're going to have the Jupiter opposing Pluto from Leo. So we want to think back to when Jupiter was opposing Pluto in Cancer, and that was around somewhere between 2014 and 2015. Okay, we take it 12 years back, and this is and this is what I realized, because we're going to have an entire year of the possibility to transmute into the light. And what do I mean by the light? Like I explained, the attack on Madeleine in 2007 was an attack on the light. So those who remember that horrid ritual murder of a child, then this was attack on the light, and it was behind that was some Nazi-like organization. But this is Jupiter Procyon. In brief, is one entire year that we have a chance to go JFK on it, and I mean the JFK that prevented the war, okay? Because not the JFK that was inspired by Hitler. Okay, to make that clear. And so there are many intricacies around that, I know. He was from the deep state, he was Mason, and so on. And he was also assassinated, which would be easy when he was involved with Marilyn Monroe, which probably was an Epstein-like thing. But, okay, so we have the dark and the light in one person. But when it comes to the Jupiter opposition Pluto, so last time we had it from Cancer, and Pluto was in Capricorn. And this is where the people began to know what is gaslighting. That was the year where people began to talk about gaslighting. People began to talk about the narcissistic abuse, the red flags. And then the people began to notice this is happening in the workplace, this is happening with the partner, this is happening in the family, okay, which is Cancer. Now we're going to have that in Leo, and Pluto being in Aquarius. So this is where leaders are exposed. Anything that goes into Leo goes into a Me Too life. And it is the leaders of cults, so it can be the leaders of the deep state. Okay, think about when you see, people and they look representative and so on and so forth, and then you learn this person was trafficked to this person by this speeder ring, and there was an initiation rite of some satanic cult, and some mafia guy interviews a guy that talks about that, and so on, ex-mafia guy. And this is going to be exactly what those who want to attack the light are afraid of. Those who did humiliation rituals are those who did humiliation rituals are publicly humiliated. And they won't be able to shift the identity of those who were humiliating people in those secret societies. And so, you, you know, if you think back to the year before the Me Too could not happen without the background information of people learning what is healthy relations, safe attachment, pattern, what is gaslighting, what is emotional abuse. And then the Me Too arrived. And so with Jupi Procyon, we have an entire year to transmute into the light, because then it's expiration date on the secret part of secret societies. No, we're gonna know the names, the people, because Sun is leaders, and Pluto in Aquarius is the deep state. So we're gonna know who these people are, and it will come from their very technologies. They will not be able to shift the identity, shift the blame, shift this, exactly like the Me Too. It was not possible to say, but she's a whore, but she wanted it, they ruined the romance, they ruined this. No, the world has had enough of having enough, because nobody could get a decent job without that Epstein-like dumbfuckery being involved in that. It's kind of like nobody signed for that. And so and all of their attempts to make it look like somebody signed for that are gonna fall flat. This is the beginning of the onset of the French Revolution times. Okay, so Jupiter opposing Pluto is transformation of belief, of worldview. And it's also being informed of hidden beliefs and transformation of the psychology. Okay, for example, when it comes to gaslighting, narcissistic abuse, the DSM was changed. Usually what happened, the person that was a victim would be subjected to be diagnosed as cuckoo. And then it changed, because there was a narcissistic abuser syndrome, which means this is trauma. It's not the person is cuckoo. And so this is what happens when all of the old, outdated coping mechanisms that were meant to stay in control, all of them are being purged. That's what happened, okay, last time as well. Because Pluto can be about control, trauma, but it's also purgatory and all the false beliefs. For some people, it was false beliefs about psychology, false beliefs about relations, false beliefs about the family, even mother figures. That was the time where people could no longer say, oh, but this is, particularly mothers are noted here, but also parents, oh, but this is your mother. Yes, and if a person is for the sanity needs time off, then that matters more. For otherwise, okay, why would anybody commit suicide? Because they were abused. And it's not about blame, it's about results. Person behaves certain way, they don't necessarily are aware that this is abuse. Especially, people went through wars, people went through horrid things, people, it's not that they're bad, but there's limit to what their children or their family loved ones can deal with without saying, okay, well, it's time to, for the sake of being sane, of wanting to live, okay? And the same was with the narcissistic abuse, whether it was at work, but this affected the people. This one is going to be leaders and entertainment industry and all the Me Too like things. Of course, it's going to affect the people, but it's mainly going to affect the secret societies that have a change of belief around visibility. They might want to be more visible, okay? They might want to expose their name, or they might want to be invisible, okay? Jupiter is just a complete purging and transformation of belief by confrontation. But anything that touches Leo is having Me Too like effects. I think the sun, you see, if Pluto is about purging and transmuting to light what is dark, the sun is doing that by simply shining and simply being. And this is why it gets a Me Too like effect, because what was not shining begins to shine. Okay, because if in the before, let's say the narcissistic abuse, okay, before the Me Too, okay, the narcissistic abuse, the person who was narcissistically abused, they would be, oh, they're crazy, they need help, okay? But after that, it was, yes, they have narcissistic abuse. Perhaps their parent, perhaps their boss, perhaps their spouse is, yes, has been through things, and yes, back then they say won't go to therapy because they didn't know for all the deeper things that are going on. And then began to understand, okay, but there was also a problem because a lot of the psychiatrists and psychologists, they were also narcissistic. So it was a big challenge to bring the narcissistic abuse syndrome into the DSM. It came from outside the field of psychiatry and psychology and therapy. But this was within, it's the people, within the family, within this, within that. But Leo is going to be, because it's associated with the heart, particularly we're going to see that because the Me Too began in workplaces, but we're going to see that right now, we have Venus, we have Mercury in Leo, and what did we have? Klaus Schwab was litigated for sexual harassment. By the way, yes, Melania Trump was exposed that she was trafficked by Epstein to Donald Trump. If it's true, not true, okay. It's very difficult to believe that it's not true. We also have to be honest, right? Um, um, and so Jupiter, outer planet, we're going to shift our beliefs, and again, usually is we shift them towards even more Me Too like vibe. That's whether people like it, don't like it, that's the time of the season. And this one is going to be within the deep state, the secret societies, the technology like, okay? The beliefs of, think about it, the beliefs of Peter Thiel are now put to scrutiny around the world. So, and the fact that he used his technology to enforce a policy that nobody wants. And it's not good for humanity, okay? So So even that part he doesn't have in his favor in that regard. So Jupiter Procyon is the last chance. Last year we have to transmute what was dark to light, else it's going to be very luminary. Okay, in the Leo is visible. We have names, we have faces, we have pictures. In Cancer, we had emotional growth, nourishment, um, yes, all those things. But in Leo, whenever it strikes Leo, we have is this person, this picture, this is what they believe. Okay, think right now, Venus and Mercury in Leo. Yes, this Peter Thiel, he thinks that there should be no women and doesn't matter if she wants, if she doesn't want. And he uses his surveillance technology to enforce that somehow. And it shows that him saying that nobody is going to want what we want, what the beliefs that we offered, our worldview, nobody's going to want that. And up, if you don't see that footage or that video, you think, okay, Peter Thiel, making company, making money, then other people will want to make money, and it tends to balance each other. But when you see such clips, such video, you say, okay, this is very strange. And you see Peter Thiel saying that on film. Yes, you can see that by Gigi Young. She posted about this. And you see that on film, you see his face talking. Now, if it is AI, we'll have to ask Palantir. So this is what we are expecting. And then people say, yeah, he with Epstein, he with this, he with that. I don't know. Structurally, I don't know how it's possibility for a person to be businessman in this world without being associated. I think this Epstein guy knows the entire planet. I don't know. Okay, it's like it's not. This is just me thinking. I don't know if it's true or not true, but it's just like it's unreasonable that it's not true. That's how it looks in the public opinion. Like that's how it looks. Okay, sometimes it's useful. Like if Peter Thiel was wondering how does he look to the world, that's how he looks. Okay, so now he knows this is looking like that. Um, and with Jupiter, is the emphasis is going to be on what do these people believe, and we're gonna see. It's going to be just like what was with Peter Thiel. Okay, you see this person. This is the person. This is the worldview. But there are gonna be pictures. You know, in Netherlands there was Trudy Verstegen. And she was PVDA, Tweede Kamer Parliament member. 2018 she was expelled. And at first when I looked at the things she shows, and I'm like, hey, some of that looks like those things that they said about the Jews. And I'm like, okay, but that was the fact that they were financing everything, so they had to participate in all this dumbfuckery, which is cloning and so on and so forth. But what's interesting about that is she would show, let's say, a politician, and she would show them, let's say, with the kippah, or with doing the two-finger oath to Baphomet, okay? And the picture where you see the person that says they're Catholic, or that says that this, or Christian, or Protestant, or whatnot, okay, but the picture of them doing the vow to Baphomet, or wearing a kippah and kissing the wall, what is this wall in Jerusalem, I don't know, it's kind of like a picture that tells a tale, and it's about the belief that is being exposed. So I think we're going to have a lot of true diverstigen on that Jupiter opposition Pluto. And again, it's exactly like the meet. You know, if this was investment in the market of ideas, I would say this would be the time to go short on Baphomet. This would be the time to go short on Satanism. This would be the time to go short on those things, because that's the time where that's no longer, people are going. You see, what if people are going to believe something different? Instead of fighting against treadmills of trying to control for what the people are going to believe, okay? Sometimes it's like, oh, oh God, yeah. Sometimes it's about, and these people are already they're around the money. It's not that they're in it for the money. It's because of the ritual abuse that they've been through that was associated with money. So they go with the money at, and it's like this not, how should I say that? It's not going to yield trying to maneuver the opinion with money where the money was at Me Too. Okay, some would say it played to the hands of extortion cults. Yes, but also people needed that change. They couldn't anymore with the conditions that were. Then imagine now, right? So if you think about it, there are more targeted individuals in America than people. So if a person says in USA, I was targeted, I was this, I was that, and even if he says that in a rural village where just a couple of people go to the grocery store, everybody knows what he's talking about. Because it got into so much that they targeted so many individuals that everybody knows what is targeted individual of MK Ultra. And they're eligible for lifelong compensation. Now, it's a lot of money in it. The people that target the people understand the money is not the target in the people, because they count that it's not yielding, they got nothing. The money is in litigating the MK Ultra for the lifelong compensation. And this is what Canada does. So, for example, yes, if I think about it, when Rao went into Aries, I said this is good time to talk about the veterans. Okay? Rao went from Venus sign to Mars sign. I said it's not time to talk about what the women rights, women this, because it's all about soldiers. So with what's happening to boys, what's happening in brotherhood, what's happening to men and so on, what's happening to soldiers, that's what's happening in real estate, okay? That's more like it. Because now that was a time people tended to that. But when something is in Leo, and I said to myself, what has Leo to do with women's rights all the time? Well, the sun is just shining the light. If we were living in society where, I don't know, the problem is not women's rights, but the problem is, let's say, I don't know, just children's rights. Okay? Not women's rights, just children's rights. It's not about child being feminine. It's just children's rights. They grow too much and so on. So the sun would shed a light on that. But when they torture the children in satanic ritual abuse, they call them whore. The boys. Why? Because the child is the feminine, the conquered people are the feminine. And so, when everything touches on Leo, So what is bothering the heart from being vulnerable right now? For those things that are done to the feminine, even if they're done to boys, even if they're done, okay, to children, because basically they say they rape a child, they say you are a whore. Even if it's boy. So we know that we're scheduled to go through that once in 12 years when Jupiter opposes Pluto. If you think about the one before that was 2002, what did we have? It was from Gemini. Everybody know what happened, right? 9/11. On human traders, 9/11. It was a shock to everyone, but who works at the trade centers? And what do they worship? Big disaster. But wasn't the evacuation of people that murdered the entire family and killed themselves because they didn't want the family to go into human trade and trafficking, because they were evacuated from their homes in 2008 because of some Epstein ring? Isn't that a bigger disaster? Who is your broker? What secret societies is your broker in? What rituals are done after work or during work? What rituals are done to climb up the ladder? The satanic panic that people dismissed, the satanic panic in the 90s, turned into school shootings and 9/11. MK Ultra, that's the satanic panic. So the world shifted, and everybody were going against not this religion, that religion, okay? Because Gemini, not this religion, that religion. And then the security and so on and so forth, they're going against basically fundamentalist Islam. What a hand that was contributing to create a fundamentalist Islam, I think with Jupiter and Leo opposing Pluto, we'll know more. But were they wrong that fundamentalist Islam is problematic? No. And this is also important to remember. This is when people woke up to see, hey, CIA, not CIA. That fundamentalist Islam is not something we want to. How did Mark Rutte say about the Kim Jong-un? We don't want to high-five that. Now Kim Jong-un, he loves to smoke, he loves to drink, he loves to play American. Okay, a smuggled satellite from North Korea. He played the main character in MASH. How many fans are we have for the smuggled satellite of North Korea? I don't know if it's still on. So I'm gonna keep it BitChute length. Weather tomorrow, sunny. Gonna keep it BitChute length, and again, this is the astrology, okay? When I saw things coming up in Aries, I'm like, everybody's gonna want individuality, sovereignty. With Chiron, what happening to the soldiers, what happening to the boys, and so on. So I say this is not good time to abuse boys. Rolodex. And so, but now when something is in Leo, and I was like, but why is Leo doing that Me Too thingy all the time? In many transits, not just Venus. Well, it's because of what I said. And again, you can try to control or try to push the wheel backwards. It's also what I said in the Me Too. We had the dean in the faculty where I was studying, and he was a real jerk. Not to me, I did not know him personally. Maybe only once I saw him, but he was a real jerk. And then the lady got beyond traumatized, and she litigated, and other ladies litigated, and he was unsatisfied with how the university was running and so on, and she was unsatisfied. And I said, listen, you need right to speak, she needs right to speak. It was the dean of our department. I said, now the times are changing. Because he was 70. And I tell him, mister, now the times are changing. And also, students say, I was not in class, students say, for the way you look at the ladies is not nice to them. The times are changing, you need to understand, you need to change with the times. It's not like what was. There's a lot of ladies that were okay with what was. This is an anthropological thing, until you don't see it. Really, there are some ladies like that. What can you do? But the times are changing. And I said people can have sticks in the wheels of where we're going, and it's not going to work for them. Which is exactly what happened. Those that didn't have it in the Me Too, those that didn't transmute in the Me Too, but what happened now, they're not exposed for Me Too. Not this person touched like that, said like that, did like that. No. Now this person was with Epstein. And they were doing money laundering. And they were funding terror. And they tried to assassinate governments. Not prime ministers, governments. Don't they wish they just had it in the Me Too? Don't they wish they didn't say, well, the Me Too went too far? Wow. Yeah. And then, if you know that this is coming, then the best thing to do is to understand firsthand that no matter how much the grip is to control, to this, to that, loosen the grip on trying to control for what those things do, because it's war crimes already. It's not. And now is big time in history about that. So this is yes, yet again we have 1 year ahead, and Leo just shines the light on what is needed to allow a heart to be open and vulnerable and loving. Right now, it looks like the Me Too issues, like the Epstein issues. If it is going to be something else, then it's not going to look like a Me Too. It's just going to be whatever bothers with all people, regardless of sex, gender, to be able to be loving and open-hearted. Like a satanic cult and the deep state and the trafficking and organ harvesting and all that.